Hey guys, this is Asiya with Valio Dance Fitness. I'm back and we're watching GoTarryn TV.
Okay, welcome back everyone, and there you see we have side by side welcoming back Asiya from Valio Dance Fitness. Asiya, great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
It's been so long.
Yeah, that's the thing I was going to ask you about first, because I hadn't seen you for probably like 2 or 3 months since this whole thing happened. I know that our place we usually train at, Family Life Center, had closed mid-March. And then I just saw you for the very first time as we're recording this, sometime, I guess, in like mid-May, I guess. And since you came back, now it's June, obviously. But how have things been going? And kind of catch us up to speed, please, because I know there's been a lot of change for everybody out there. But how's your world been?
Oh my God. I think the beginning of this year, I love the saying, we plan and God laughs, because I think it's probably the most appropriate one for this year. Yeah. I never could have imagined that, back on March 16th, when they said it was going to be a shutdown, that it was going to last, nearly 2 months.
Right.
So when I said bye to my group, I said, okay, guys, I'll see you, in a week and 2 weeks. And that was pretty much what I thought was going to happen. And, 1 or 2 weeks kind of become a month, and then that becomes nearly 2 months. Mm-hmm. And I think the challenge is with the Family Life Center, because it does have a fairly large church member base that's elderly. Mm-hmm. I think that was always kind of the legitimate concern to make sure that we keep them healthy.
Right.
So the reopening day just kind of was like a goalpost that just kept moving back. Mm-hmm. And I think it was finally around Memorial Day when from the state they said, okay, I think we can start getting back to new normal or normal. Mm-hmm. Kind of going in phases. And I think that's when I realized, I was like, okay, I can either just keep waiting and see what happens, or kind of take more of a active approach and, figure out a way to do this. And I think outdoors, thankfully we live in such a beautiful place where the weather is wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's May, June. So I said, okay, we're going to go out, outside, fresh air, plenty of space. Nothing can be healthier. So I think that's where we kind of crossed paths again a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, you're right, Asiya. That's a good point, because when this whole thing started, you're absolutely right that they had first said that March 16th that they would close down for 2 weeks. Yeah. And the assumption was made that they would reopen. And in fact, they did write an email saying that when the gyms were allowed to be reopened, they would be the very first gym to reopen. And
exactly.
Now here we are, and pretty much, I think all fitness centers that I know of, they're pretty much all back and up and running. In fact, the YMCA where I teach part-time, they reopened last month. And so I thought, just a matter of time. I don't know what's going on as we record this, when it's supposed to reopen. I think there's rumors that it may soon, hopefully. But
hopefully, knock on wood, hopefully soon. But I think kind of also the challenging thing for me that was just really just kind of shocking, because I do primarily group dance fitness, so it's not just kind of a one-on-one training where I can kind of hang back and stand back. Good point. It is a group, it is a lot of people, and everybody's going and everybody's sweating, and it's all the excitement, which is phenomenal, which is I think what's been giving us this sort of what word am I looking for? Just drive and motivation and inspiration. Mm-hmm. And, with groups, of course, I think it was groups, certain sizes. So I felt like everything was kind of coming down and crashing and burning, for a while there. But I think now with being able to do this outdoors, and then, hopefully kind of getting everything back to normal, I think things are looking a lot more positive and optimistic. Let's hope.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. We definitely want things to go back, and it's just unbelievable how this affected us in the health and fitness industry. But let me ask you this, Asiya, because your mom being in the medical field, what's her perception of this whole thing? How's she kind of seen this, and what's her take? I'd like to see how she's kind of reacted to this.
Sure. And, and I think she would probably be, not to sort of put words in her mouth. I think she would be the one to, speak best on it. But, she's in urgent care in Wellstar.
Yeah.
And I think when all of this initially happened, when the news came, I think there was a general fear because it's a new virus, lots of unknown. Nobody really knew what to do. And
right.
just, because, and even like from places like, legitimate places like CDC and World Health Organization, guidelines were changing so frequently. It's this, it's that, it's the services, it's not the services, the mask, it's not the mask, all of those different things. So I think everyone was just kind of just trying to kind of put one foot in front of the other one and go the best way they could. And I think then the longer it went on, and I think when, especially certain things like elective procedures, those weren't allowed to take place. They were actually suffering significantly. And, you would think that a person working in healthcare that, you're working, you're fine, nothing to worry about. But it was actually just the opposite. And I know that with Wellstar, they had lots of news publications where people were getting laid off. They were trying to keep them, or different departments. And again, I don't want to get too technical because I don't know every single detail.
Sure.
But they were suffering tremendously. And till this day, I think my mom's particular center, they would, I think on average, just on a decent day, they would see close to 100 patients. It dropped to pretty much 17 patients a day. So of course, that's just not sustainable for anyone, any business. And same thing with the hospital, with the urgent care. So they were under huge hit. And I know a lot of families, a lot of people were at the same time battling the pandemic and dealing with, with the sick. And again, with the urgent care, there's only so much they can do at their location. It's not a full service hospital, where they put the ventilators and do all those things. So it was a very, but I think it is still a very challenging time. I think, unfortunately, the effects, they will still see those for, and hopefully they will continue to operate. But I think they will see the effects for a long, long time. And it's definitely a tragedy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a hit. And how about for yourself, Asiya, with your own workouts? Like, all the fitness centers were closed for at least maybe a month or a couple months. What have you done for yourself? Were your workouts geared a little differently, or did they change, or did you just keep doing what you were normally doing, or how did you keep it?
No, so I think luckily over the last probably 7-8 years, I've built up a YouTube channel with 300,000, or what started was 300,000 subscribers prior to the pandemic. And so we've been, and when I say we the group, because, we just kind of shoot them, we video our workouts during class. So it's not like we do a professional setup. So everyone who comes to class, one way or the other, probably ends up in one of our videos. So we've done this for the past 7-8 years, and we've built up a kind of a virtual dance fitness place with more than 150, like almost more than 200 workouts, different dance fitness routines.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's one of those things where, we never planned this specifically for the pandemic when people can't get outside.
Yeah.
But when the pandemic happened, of course, the first reaction was for everyone to go online and start working out virtually, and purely people, like certain parts of the world, like Italy, it was a really hardcore lockdown. I think Georgia, when we say shutdown and lockdown, it's a broad spectrum. At least we could still go to the grocery stores and to the parks and things, and certain businesses were able to operate.
Yep.
So I don't want to make it sound like we were just in a complete locked space here. That wasn't the case. But for certain countries, it was a very hard, especially the ones that suffered the most initially. So it was really interesting how it was this all of a sudden rush of subscribers. So I think we probably gained like 20,000 plus subscribers in a matter of weeks.
Wow, that's a lot.
From Italy, from Iran, from Israel, from France, from Latin America, from everywhere, how they were working out. So we've kind of gained this, wonderful virtual family that wasn't really, it was always there, but it wasn't like a specific tool that we did just for this. And so I think then the decision was, And I saw a lot of kind of fitness studios going that route, pretty much transitioning all of their workouts to live streaming and Zoom and everything else. And I think I was kind of at that, um, what do you call it? The fork? Is that
Yeah,
the
fork in the road.
fork in the
Sure.
road?
Yeah.
I was like, do I take just then everything online,
hmm
or do we do we try to find a way of keeping the group together, and still kind of have that interaction that we've always had?
hmm
And I decided to go with the latter, meaning that the YouTube platform, the free workouts, they're still there for everyone to subscribe and enjoy and dance, and a lot of people have been utilizing them. But I think there is no substitute for human interaction.
Hmm.
There is nothing that can replace the actual, just human interaction and one-on-one, together,
Yep.
that spirit. And so outdoors I was like, you know what? No, that's the only way we have to go. So taking things outdoors and keeping the group together while practicing social distancing and having plenty of fresh air, plenty of space. I think it was a smart choice. And it was kind of I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, what are they going to say? Are they going to like it? It's hot, whatever. But everyone has been incredibly supportive. And I think when you and I were actually chatting the other day, and you mentioned something that, oh, I think Family Life Center is ready to hopefully open back up in a few weeks. Several people that were there like, oh my God, can we just stay outdoors? Can we just keep it that way? So, we'll see kind of how things go. I think when we get to July and August, who knows? I think maybe we'll have to go, inside because it's going to get hot.
Yes.
But that's kind of the current state. But the 2 months prior leading up to this, I was pretty much just at a standstill. All of my, another big segment is the wedding industry, the first dance lessons for the weddings.
Right.
March being the beginning of the season, and March 16th having that shutdown, and pretty much, for just couples, I can't even imagine what they went through.
Oh, yeah.
None of the gatherings of 10 plus people or whatever, however many people, they
Right.
could take place. So they had to make those literally last minute, the week of, decisions to postpone their weddings. And it was just, it was bad for me just from the financial whatever standpoint, because I couldn't do much, but just to kind of see what people were going through, it was definitely terrifying,
Oh,
just
yeah.
and heartbreaking. And I know how much planning goes into weddings, and it's a huge celebration. It's, yeah, lots and lots of things that go into place. But luckily, it was that March, April window that I think was just the absolute worst. I think we're now kind of getting back on track somewhat, trying to rebuild this. So step at a time.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, that's very uplifting, and it's a positive outlook. And like Asiya, I was going to ask you about this too, because when this whole thing happened in the last couple months, I noticed that the news, which always slants towards being very negative and trying to kind of exploit the worst and most dark kind of futuristic things. And so one of the things that happened when this first happened was I kind of just cut off the news, and I said, I'm not going to watch the news. I'm not going to get on social media, because you saw a lot of people fighting. And you mentioned a few minutes ago how, you hear different things like, are you supposed to wear a mask and you're not supposed to, or you're supposed to socially distance? No, we shouldn't. You keep hearing different conflicting things. But what was, your take on how, I guess the news, especially in this country, has been, I guess, in the last couple months? Do you have kind of...
I think the news in this country, that's an animal of its own.
Yeah.
I don't know how to approach this diplomatically. I think anything has to, I think self-education, I think it's important. I think critical thinking is important. And you hear different things. You need to be able to filter, I think, some of the noise, and then but try to get to the root of the message. Do the research. I think there's plenty of I think it's kind of a good and a bad. The good thing, there is so much information out there. The bad thing is there is so much information out there. Which one do you go with? And you hear so many conflicting things. I think it's a challenge, and I think it's luckily with, kind of a health fitness background for me, with my mom being, a PhD and in public health and masters, and, she was a doctor back in Russia. She's in urgent care now. I think there are lots of things that can be a little bit scary. You hear the virus, oh my God, and then you see people just, or like at least the initial reports that were coming out, like things were not looking good, especially here, the situation that was happening in Italy. And of course, you see those numbers and you apply them here. It's a very, it's a very somber place. But at the same time, I think when you look at that, it's really truly affecting, again, it can affect anybody, but, the majority, it's elderly, nursing homes, pre-existing conditions. I think you've got to be able to not just see the percentage, the death rates, but also see the 99.9% survival rate.
Sure.
And I think in life in general, I mean, there are risks that come with life, whether we go to work and it can be a car accident, it can be another virus, flu, it can be so many different things. I think there is risk in life regardless. Do we want to be responsible? Do we want to be do proper hygiene? Absolutely. I think it was a great, and I hate to even use the word great, but I think it was a good sort of a wake-up call to get back to some of those basics. I mean, I think now we're all washing hands like we've never washed them before. Sanitizing, washing hands, public places, just in general having that space, that distance. I think it's a good, like something is flying here, so if you see me doing these things, I'm not crazy. There is a piece of hair that I'm trying to get. She lost it. But, at one point, you can't be so afraid of living that you just kind of lock yourself in, and you just pretty much throw your hands up, and you're just like, that's it. We can't do that. I think life goes on. Yes, there are risks. Yes, there are other viruses. But I think collectively we'll get through this. I think now better and stronger and healthier, because it was a great reminder for all the measures that we have to take as a society. And I think I see you, the same thing, kind of wiping and all the Clorox, sanitizing wipes and everything else that we now carry pretty much around.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It's a good reminder. And I think people are responsible enough where they understand the consequences. And, I think not in general, I think we all care about each other. So we want to protect not just ourselves, but, people we interact with. And I think it's going to be fine.
Good. Now that's very inspiring, because, another thing, like, you always get such a great crowd with your in-class. What do you, like, last couple times I've seen you, at least, 20, 30 people about, roughly? I mean,
No. I think it just looks like there is a lot more. No, I think it was 9 the first time.
Oh, okay.
Right around 10 feet. The thing is, I think the place is so huge and it's so wonderful. Full. But, no, we're not quite to those numbers. But, hopefully, eventually, we'll get back there. Because the thing is, it was so kind of, not upsetting, but a little bit frustrating. January and February were starting off so strong. Every single festival was filled up and sold out. We had so many appointments for, for all the wedding couples and everything else. And March was just literally like a boom. So, slowly but surely, I think we're going to get back to it safer, stronger, and healthier.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good, Asiya, because it's good that, not everybody, like you said, is scared and they're not because that's kind of like, for example, with my personal training business, same thing, like March, and then my business just tanked. But little by little, just like you, I'm sure, I've seen people coming back and saying, okay, I don't have to be fearful. I could come out and I could work out outside or whatever, So that's a good sign, for all of us. And one of the other things you were mentioning about factors of people that, it could affect people with their mental health and such, because we've seen that. But one of the things with this quarantining and self-isolation, some of the statistics have shown that mental health problems have just skyrocketed. And
absolutely. And so when we're talking, anything that's kind of a respiratory based diseases, problems, fresh air is an absolute must.
Yeah.
When we're talking stress, anxiety, you add, I mean, you and I mean, I would say probably say fair to say that just from the business standpoint, pretty much lost, substantially everything.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And, and it was a little bit frustrating to hear, in the news, essential versus non-essential. You're supporting your family with your business. Of course it's essential.
Right, exactly.
It's essential to your family. Same thing with mine.
Yep.
And, you add the financial burden, you add just the anxiety in general. You add the fact that so many uncertainty, because these people didn't know. I mean, are we talking a week? Are we talking 2 weeks? Are we talking 3 months? Are we talking a year and a half, 2 years, potentially how long it's going to take to get the vaccine? And so I think when you start, I mean, things were not looking very optimistic and positive. And so I think it's an absolute tragedy what it did to the society, and from the mental health perspective, anxiety and stress, and then families. I mean, we're not even getting into the family situations, those dynamics, and abuse, and kids not being able to go to school, and some of the news that I've read, sometimes in schools, that's the only meal they get. So I mean, you kind of start multiplying, adding those things. So I think it takes it way past the direct effects of just the virus. There is so much more out there that's that was happening, and I think having those, taking the right, or placing the right measures in place, but putting the right measures in place, but then kind of moving back on. I think that's an absolute must.
Yeah, and another health physiological factor that the studies, CDC and the World Health Organization, they said that obesity is one of the biggest factors for the immunocompromised if you were to get coronavirus. So, for example, that's really good for us because
it was great for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that's one of the problems that we know. About 40% of Americans right now, today, are like clinically obese and overweight. Yeah. So since they are
exactly, I mean, you're adding stress and anxiety and lack of movement. You're not moving much, because I mean, still, even if you're walking to the car and then back, you're to the, there's still, you move. I always say some movement is better than none.
Yeah.
Here, I mean, you pretty much, all the factors, you just multiply them times 10, and you get the absolute worst case scenario. So it was just it's devastating.
Yeah, no question about it. And but the good thing is, like you said, there is kind of a light at the end of the tunnel, even though a lot of us didn't know, like the unknown, like how long is this going to be? 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years? But we're kind of getting a grasp. It looks like it's good that things are reopening now as we record this. A lot more things are opening. And,
I got to tell you, it's exciting to actually see traffic. When I'm driving, to actually see traffic is like one of those things that I never thought I'd say. But when I see all the cars and everything is kind of backed up as normal, it was this all of a sudden this positive feeling, where before it was like everybody was just irritated.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's amazing. But what about you though? Because you did mention you started doing a lot of your sessions FaceTime. How does that work? Because I mean, I think it's incredible. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, it goes back to what you were just saying at the very start of the video blog. I'll throw it back, and kind of like you had given the example of doing the classes on YouTube, and you have a much farther outreach than I do with going internationally. My goodness, different countries and continents even. But the FaceTime workouts, with my business model being primarily one-on-one, sometimes one-on-two, maybe no more than that.
Yeah.
It's good because it's kind of like, I guess, the accountability. The great thing about technology, like you and I could do this, for example, but some of my clients who have taken me up on this, we can actually one-on-one, I can critique their form. I can literally, because I'm only looking at 1 or 2 people at the most at one time. And so when I've got them and doing the exercises, I'll literally just do it right where I'm sitting at, right here, and I'll say, okay, grab those weights, give me such and such. And the other thing is this, Asiya, and I'm sure you could relate to this too in the health fitness industry and a lot of other personal trainers and group exercise instructors, that when you have the same people you've been training for, in our cases, probably multiples of years, a lot of times they're not hiring us so much to watch their form or say, am I doing this right? Up to this point now, you and me, we've been doing this, where we have clients that entrust us and they value our time and our relationship. They know how to do the form right. They might just need us there as an accountability coach or,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think it's accountability coach. I think it's partially a therapist, I'm sure.
Right, exactly.
And then, and it's, I think it's fascinating, just kind of, we used to be, I think, indoors. We were always in kind of different areas. I never really saw you in action. And I think this past couple of weeks, I see you interacting with your clients. And I mean, you're just, pretty much any conversation, any topic, questions, boom. I think they just enjoy your company and do the same thing in positivity and I think therapy. I'm sure you're listening to a lot of things as well.
Asiya, it's so funny. Next time we do this, we're going to have to do another 30-minute talk on this because I wanted to ask you. It's so funny, that you said that because I do try my best to, ask open-ended questions and be like you, very enthusiastic, very positive.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, you could do it. Come on, keep going. That's great. But you see some personal trainers, and of course I'm not going to say anything, but I've seen some trainers who will grab their phone and, do another set. Yeah, okay, or they'll be texting. Yeah, go ahead. And I wanted to ask you, as far as, and again, maybe you don't see a lot of the trainers sometimes, and I'm not singling anybody out. But when we see that as fitness professionals, let's just say that if you had a dance fitness instructor who's up there and say, come on, class, do it. I got to take a quick phone call. It's like...
No.
It's crazy.
I can't believe it. That
me neither.
Insanity.
Yeah, I know. And I just can't believe that because people who are paying us pay really good money. And they're investing their time because they want to be with us. They want our attention. And I just never got over that. And I see it all the time. Not just, at the gyms that I'm at. I'm just talking about in general because I go to several different gyms all the time.
Sure.
And I'll kind of, in just between, I'll just be looking. And I just, it's just amazing. I can't believe I see that all the time.
I mean, I feel like, and I think maybe where I relate more, I don't really do the personal training, but, one-on-one with wedding couples.
Yeah.
I mean, or just one-on-one, dance instruction, ballroom dance, and all of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I do a song and a dance, it's like, well, first of all, it's all, they're coming to you, they're trusting you.
Yes.
And I think, I'm sure with personal training and dance, the same thing, but I think it's intimidating, you're coming to somebody else. I don't know. I think we have to treasure that, and just be really, first of all, appreciative.
Oh yeah.
Appreciative of the business that we're getting,
right.
And kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm speechless. You said that people are texting during their personal training sessions. the trainers, not even the clients, but. Yeah. I just think we have to, especially in this world where things are so shaky, one thing you have it, the next thing you don't have it. We have to be so appreciative of that and really treasure it. People are coming to you, for years. You have a reputation. It's absolutely just disheartening if somebody does that, No.
Yes, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's just I'm amazed by it all the time. But kind of I guess with the whole FaceTime workouts, my clients could literally, I'll just tell them, what to do that exercise. And most of the 90% of is like what you and I are doing. We'll just how's your day going? What are you up to? Like you said, therapists kind of, which is great because if we can provide some psychological health benefits along with the physical health, great. Absolutely. Yeah, all the more purpose. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. And I would say that's probably even the more important one. The more important piece to have that enthusiasm and positivity and sort of be a therapist in a way and listen to this thing and, this and that. I mean, I can tell you stories for days, with especially with wedding planning and wedding and those things. You see just about everything. And I think it's it's important to kind of keep everybody together and make sure things are moving along peacefully and positively. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, no question about it, Asiya. Well, again, this has been so great to catch up with you. I can't believe 30 minutes today just flew by so quick with you. It felt like it was like nothing.
Oh, it's already been 30 minutes?
Yeah, believe it or not, we were like literally 30 minutes. But let me, before we let you go, I do want to ask you a couple more questions.
Sure.
Because, as we're recording this, you are offering the dance fitness classes outside, which is awesome. That courtyard's perfect because there's plenty, like you said, there's plenty of space to socially distance.
Yeah.
There's music, there's good high energy that you provide. So if people are watching right now, obviously they can sign up and they can come. So why don't we get the contact information out there? And, if you want to maybe just tell people your social media website or, whatever you want to tell them about the classes, we can throw that out there, please.
Sure. So it's valeoclub.com. Valeo, people always like, oh, Valeo. Valeo from Latin to be healthy and feel well. So that's where the name comes from. So it's valeoclub.com. And if you go under Group Dance Fitness, it's going to have all the information. So the location stays the same. Nothing changes, same as our basic main studio location. We're just outdoors. And there's a video that I just compiled together that gives you a good idea of what the outdoor class looks like. We utilize some of the things outdoors, some of the outdoor planks and things and little railings here and there for ballet bars. So it's actually been phenomenal. I do ask, and I think it's just from hygiene purposes and from health perspective, and again, just kind of keep the reopening phase healthy and safe for everyone. If you have a set of free weights, bring them. If you don't have them, I have extra ones, and I disinfect everything. I also have a lot of people using just water bottles as weights as well. I a lot of times wear workout gloves purely to help protect my hands, for planks and things and all the other things, for the look as well. But I think just in general, if you're grabbing things, it's just good to have. And yes, valeoclub.com for the website to sign up. First group class is always complimentary. For social media, Instagram, it's same thing, Valeo Club. And YouTube, it's Valeo Club. And I think we're up to 325,000 subscribers.
Wow.
I'm super excited.
That is just incredible, Asiya. That's just amazing. That's so many. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well done, Asiya. And, again, you're so enthusiastic and full of high energy. And I'm so glad, we get to catch up now after this whole crazy pandemic. And we need to start getting back on these more frequently, please.
I would love to.
Yeah. Again, I love talking to you. And, again, I just can't thank you enough for your time. And we'll for sure put the website link and the social media up there on the screen when we fade to black. But in the meantime, Asiya, have a great rest of your weekend, and I look forward to seeing you outside very soon again.
I know, you too, Taryn. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Asiya, we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.